pod bay doors.
Greetings and welcome to another exciting episode of the Cinematic Traveler podcast. I'm your intrepid movie exploring host, Chris, and on this episode, yes, it's that time of the month again. I guess we could call it our movie menstruation cycle. Oh, that's disgusting. But no, it is time for us to review a film recommended by our movie quote contest winner from February. And this one, this one is going to be a challenge for my feeble podcasting skills, as this movie is notoriously known as one of the worst movies ever made, and that, of course, is Plan 9 from Outer Space, directed by one Edward D. Wood Jr. And I am excited to bring you this review because it might break me. It might actually break me. If you're watching, you might see a man be completely destroyed by a movie from 1959. But before we get into that, I do have to ask a favor of you. Whatever you are listening or watching this show on, somewhere on the device, there is a follow button. If you could please tap that follow button, I would greatly appreciate it, as it does help me and the show out, but it also helps you because you won't miss any of my future episodes. Plus, you can go back and listen to all of my amazing reviews in my sexy, sexy voice. Also, if you could share the show with all your friends, families, and annoying coworkers, I don't care. Just share it with somebody. Share it on your social media. You can also follow me on my social media. I am on Instagram at Cinematic Traveler Pod. I do have a Twitter and a Blue Sky, but I'm hardly ever on there. You can find me on YouTube at Cinematic Traveler Pod. I think that's the one. Somebody please find out and let me know. Or you can get in touch with me through my email, thecinematictravelerpod@gmail.com. There, I got through all that podcaster, YouTuber, mumbo jumbo, quick, fast, and in a hurry so we can dive into this episode. And I usually have my witty banter right now, but I can't think of much to talk about. I hope you're doing well out there, my beloved listener. We're rushing headlong into the weekend. Hopefully you have some amazing plans to take advantage of all of this beautiful spring weather. Remember, love is in the air. That is why I stay inside with all of the windows shut and the air conditioner on. All right, so having said all of that, let's get into this. As I mentioned, this movie was recommended by February's movie quote contest winner, Levi, who has decided to punish me for some reason. I thought you liked the show, but apparently you just want to torture the host. That's all right, I ain't scared. There are other podcast hosts out there that would be scared of this challenge, but I'm not. I'm not like the rest of them. I told you in the last episode, I am a podcasting juggernaut. So I take all challenges. So let's get into Plan 9 from Outer Space. Now, usually I give you a spoiler-free review and a spoiler-free plot synopsis, but seeing as this movie, like I said, came out in 1959, I think, I'm going to spoil this movie. There's no way to properly convey the uniqueness of Plan 9 from Outer Space without spoiling some of it. So yeah, we're going to take a slightly different path than our usual episodes. So hopefully you will tag along with me. Although I will say I have hidden 2 movie quotes in the plot synopsis. And if you can identify them, get in touch with me. You get a point for each one that you get right. Add up all the points at the end of the month, and whoever wins gets to pick a movie for me to review or to torture me with next month. Or you could just play for fun. I know it seems a bit uncool, but this is the best time of the week, and that is to be uncool with Chris. So finally, I know I hear you. Just get on with it, man. I got to get through all of that shit. That's just the way it is. You got to have a show. It's got to be structured, because the usual listeners, they start freaking out. Oh, why didn't you do this way? Why didn't you do this that way? You know, like I'm getting paid for this or something. Stop your bitching. It's just dance for me, monkey. All right, let's dance. Let's dance. So with Plan 9 from Outer Space, we open the movie with the film's narrator, Criswell, sitting at a small desk, reading the introduction to our story. Imagine sitting at a desk, reading a script to try to entertain people. How pathetic. Okay, let's see how I do with this plot stuff. All right, hold on, folks. Here we go. We meet a pilot and a co-pilot in a magnificently duplicated cockpit as they are suddenly buzzed by a UFO. We then join an old man, played by Bela Lugosi, whose wife has just died. But unbeknownst to him, she has been brought back to life as a zombie by the aliens in the aforementioned UFO. Then the old man is struck by a car and dies. But he says something like, "This is the most uncomfortable coffin I've ever been in. Your selection is quite shoddy. You are wasting my time. Hint, hint." And he becomes an undead creature of the night. No, not that one. He becomes a zombie as well. Now, remember the pilot? Well, he lives in a house next to the cemetery where the zombies hang out, and his wife gets kidnapped by them. Still with me? All right. I hope so, because I can't keep up with this movie. All right. She is brought to the alien spaceship where these superior beings have already failed at their first 8 plans, but they're sure that Plan 9 is going to work. This plan is involving resurrecting the Earth's dead, although they can only resurrect 3 people, so I'm not sure how great this plan is going to go. Oh, what the hell is going on in this movie? All right, well, the pilot has been joined by the police and has tracked down the UFO, and they have gotten on board. Now, after the smart alien confuses the pilot with all this science talk, the pilot decides to punch out this extraterrestrial, saying something like, "Welcome to Earth." Now, that's what I call a close encounter. Will these aliens complete Plan 9 and bring the fire in the sky? Or will our stupid-minded heroes have these ETs phoning home for their mamas? Well, I will be answering those questions and probably spoiling this movie, but I'm also going to give you the best review for Plan 9 from outer space in all of the podcast YouTube universe. Nay, in all of the universe. Now, if this is your first time listening or watching, I do break my reviews down into 3 segments: the good, the bad, and the nitpicky. The good are the things that work for me in the movie. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, Levi, what have you done to me here? The bad are the things that don't work for me in this movie. And the nitpicky, these are things that are neither good nor bad, sometimes Hollywoodisms, or just silly things they put in these movies that make my weird little brain laugh. And as I am trying to do with this podcast, I would like to make you laugh. Oh boy, I don't know how well that's going to go on this one. Oh God. So let's go ahead and move into the good of Plan 9 from outer space.
Sounds pleasant.
All right. I'm losing my mind. Oh my God. I will say, I'm looking at my notes. Let's see. There is one thing that fooled me because at first, as I mentioned, I had never seen this movie. I have heard about it. Its reputation precedes it, but I have never sat down and watched it. So when it started, I was like, "Oh, the music was really good," and I was like, "Man, Ed Wood really put some effort into the music." But then I looked it up on IMDb, and it's all stock music. but all the music it went with the scenes. It all fit in well with whatever scene it was with, and I enjoyed that. The next positive for this movie, Bela Lugosi. This was his final film. Sadly, actually, I've read some of the behind the scenes stuff, and he died before the movie was made. But him and Ed Woods had become friends, and Ed had filmed some stuff and basically wrote the quote unquote script in order to fit that footage into the movie so he could have Bela Lugosi in this movie. So I don't know if it's sad to say that this is Bela Lugosi's final film. I mean, it has lived on in infamy over the years, but I will say he was good at it. He does not say one word throughout the film. And as I mentioned, he died before the film was made. So they used, I can't remember if it's Ed Wood's wife's chiropractor, somebody's chiropractor basically played Bela Lugosi in certain scenes. And all he did was he had a vampire cape and he would hold it up like to his face so you couldn't see his face. It's just so bad. God, it's so bad. But the scenes that Bela Lugosi is in, you can see that he's acting. I mean, he's a professional. He's giving facial expression. He's trying his best. So again, it was nice to see old Bella. My next positive for this film, you got to give Ed Wood credit. Man, this guy had no budget. He knew he had no budget, but he was swinging for the fences on this film. I mean, he was doing this epic sci-fi tale involving zombies and spaceships flying around and the military shooting at all this stuff going on that you would need millions and millions of dollars to make, and he's doing it for $1.50. So I commend him for having a vision and going after it. Good for you, Ed Wood. Good for you. And my final positive for this film is that it did bring us the great Tim Burton movie, Ed Wood. In fact, there were many moments in this movie I just kept waiting for Johnny Depp to pop out from around the corner. Cut, print it. That's good. So let's go ahead and move into the negative of, I got to do it again, Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Uh-oh, I don't like the sound of that.
And this seems almost unfair. It really does. Because, yeah, this is a bad movie. It's definitely earned that reputation. I will say, well, we'll get to that when I give my final thoughts on the movie. So I guess we'll take this from a critical eye. So, oh God, I just feel bad about this one. I feel bad. This movie, it's not trying to be bad. God bless it. All right, yeah, the narration by Criswell, who apparently was a famous psychic from back then. I guess he was in the local town or whatever. I don't know. I'm sure I could have read more about it, but I didn't want to put that much effort into it. I'm a terrible podcast host. Just don't blame me. I've said it before. This is Amazon's fault. They sold me this damn microphone. But at any rate, was apparently this famous psychic, and God, he narrates through this whole movie, and it's just like he's narrating what's going on the screen, which is just the worst kind of narration. And the old man, who is distraught, walks around his house, and Bela Lugosi's out there acting and walking around the house. You're like, oh God, why did he have to? And he has some of the worst dialogue that we're gonna get to in a minute, but it gets old real fast. Although I will say, at the beginning it had a charm to it, because it did make me laugh because the dialogue is so bad. And the ending is just corny as shit. So, well, about the middle of the movie where he keeps doing it, you're like, God, just shut up. I can see what's going on the screen. Oh my God. I'm sorry, Ed Wood. God rest your soul. I'm sorry I'm doing this. It's not my fault. You go haunt Levi. You don't haunt me. I just have to do good by my fans. That's all. All right. So the next thing is the sets. Ah, yes. This is as low budget as you can get. And they're laughable. It adds to the charm of the movie, but I'm going to put it in the negatives because it is, oh God, it's noticeable. Every door is the same door that has like a sheet hung over it that you open up, or a shower curtain. People go in that. The alien spaceship has the same type of door. Oh my God, the cemetery. Every time somebody walks on the cemetery sets, all the headstones are shaking and falling over. What else? Oh God, the cockpit for the airplane. Oh my God, it is so laughably bad. Like the control stick is like this little cardboard thing. The one guy's got the script in his lap and he's reading it. It's just so god awful. You can see the boom mic. I don't know how many times around this movie. Oh, it's glorious. It is glorious. You know what? I love. All right, I put it in the negative, but that doesn't mean I didn't love it. All right. It was great to watch all of that shit. You just sit there watching the screen and just waiting for one of those headstones to fall over, or looking at the background. There's one point where there's this colonel in the army, and they've got stock footage of the military shooting missiles at the sky, and then they cut to him like he's supposed to be standing outside, but it's just this wall with I guess a blank sheet of paper over it or something, but it's got wrinkles in it. I love it. You can see all the strings on the UFOs. Oh, it's just chef's kiss, Ed Wood. But it's bad. It's in the negative. This is so ridiculous. Let's see another negative for this film. Oh my God, it is glory. Now this entertained me throughout the movie. You will have sequences where a character will start out in daylight. It'll cut to something else, cut back to them, it's at nighttime. It'll cut to something else and come back and it's the middle of the day again, or vice versa. It was hilarious. I think there was one point where Bela Lugosi, I think he starts out at, I want to say it was at night. No, it was at day because he was in front of the house. So he goes day, and then he goes to the cemetery, it's night, and then he comes back out as the middle of the day. God bless you, Ed Wood. You didn't give a damn. Just shoot it and print it. We got it. Let's move on to the next scene. I love it. I mean, again, it's bad. It's awful. And naturally, that's going to go hand in hand with the editing. I mean, this movie just jump cuts here and there, and it's just, oh my God. It is just a horrible, horrible looking movie. Gloriously horrible looking movie. The dialogue, oh my God. I've got to read samples of the dialogue, so bear with me. I'm going to be on my phone here for a second. and and it starts with Griswold right from the start of the movie. Here we go. This is the opening of the movie. Ready? Greetings, my friend. We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. And remember, my friend, future events such as these will affect you in the future. Oh my god, that is amazing. Let's see if I can find some more here for you. How about some more Criswell? He had some golden ones. Perhaps on your way home, someone will pass you in the dark, and you will never know it, for they will be from outer space. Oh, let's see. This is where the colonel and the pilot are talking. This is the most fantastic story I've ever heard. And then the pilot says, and every word of it is true. And then the colonel goes, that's the fantastic part. Okay, I'm only going to do a couple more because I could go on and on. But there's one, oh my god, it is great. I got to find it here. Okay. All right, this is the police officers are back at the cemetery and they have to figure out whose grave site has been opened up. All right, so they're arguing about going down to find out who it is. Right? The lieutenant. I'll do it this way. Lieutenant. Well, let's go down there and find out whose grave it is. The patrolman. How, Lieutenant? By going down and finding out. Are you sure you mean that, Lieutenant? If I didn't mean it, I wouldn't have said it. Scared? Well, why do I always get hooked up on these spook details? Monsters, graves, bodies. Oh, all right. And I can't do it justice because I'm not an actor. And of course, the greatest line in the film, and this is by the alien Eros, as the pilot confronts him about, I don't know, this bomb that they think we're going to make or some shit like that. But anyway, so the pilot's like, oh, this will make our nation stronger. And of course, Eros does the classic, stronger? You see? You see? Your stupid mind. Stupid, stupid. So yes, it's some awful dialogue, but it's glorious in all of its awfulness. And it's just, oh god, it's so comical about it. There's another one, but it takes too long, where Eros, the alien, is explaining this bomb. I forget what they called it and how it works. And it's, oh my god, it just goes on so long. Imagine gasoline on a bomb, and you're just like, oh my god, how could he write this? But again, I read that Ed Wood just banged this thing out in 2 weeks. He was probably drunk most of the time. So, you know what? I don't care. The man had a vision. He loved the dialogue, and he filmed it again with the change in his pocket. And of course, the performances are terrible. Of course, with that script, how could they be any good? Yeah, so the actors range from bad to incredibly over the top bad. There's a Bunny Breckenridge, who I got to go back and watch Ed Wood because I think that might have been the Bill Murray character in that one. But anyway, he plays the ruler of the alien. Oh my god, he is just I cannot even describe how funny his performance is. Just the way he interacts with the other alien, the Eros and the lady alien, and he just dismisses of it. He waves his hands. Right? It's glorious. Oh, it is glorious. I know I use that word a lot in this review because it is. I mean, this movie just takes bad to a whole new level. And on a serious negative to the movie, and this I really do think hurt this movie for me, is that it really gets dull and repetitive in the middle of the movie, and I think it's only like an hour and 40 minutes, hour and 30 minutes, but it kind of drags. It kind of there's only 3 sets, so they could only get so much out of this movie, but you get a lot of repeating of the zombies walking through the set, and then they walk back through the set, and then the aliens are doing something, and then the pilot's flying. It gets really slow in the middle, and it kind of hurt the experience for me because when it first started, having known again the reputation of this film, I was enjoying how awful it was. It was one of those movies that's so bad that you could enjoy it. And I really was getting into it. And then it kind of hits that point in the movie where you're like, okay, we're doing the same thing again and again and again. And then you get the end where it kind of lands on its feet. But yeah, about in the middle, I would say as an honest negative, an honest bad complaint for this film is it gets too repetitive. I think he could have trimmed a little bit out of it. Oh, but that would have ruined the epic that is Plan 9 from Outer Space. Speaking of that, let's move into the nitpicky. Shall I do it again? Of Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun on the bun.
And this was difficult as well. How do you nitpick this movie? Because everything is nitpickable. So I kind of went outside of the box a little bit. I didn't look for Hollywoodisms or anything like that in this movie. I will say one of the police officers, the goofy one, it's always, oh, why am I always getting stuck in this? I've been watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine on Netflix. They finally added the end of the series on there, and the cop reminded me of Charles Boyle. So every once in a while, I kept waiting for him to go, Jake is the best ever, or Nicolaj. Or to say some weird, creepy sexual thing that he doesn't understand is a weird, creepy sexual thing. So I was like, Boyle! And my next nitpick for this film, there's a point in the movie where the pilot, he has to leave again after all of the commotion of the zombies and everything. So he radios into somebody at the airport to call and check on his wife in the middle of the night. And she's laying in bed and she's in this nightgown. Well, calm down, everybody. I don't want you all to get too excited about the sexuality in this scene, but she's wearing this nightgown, and I swear it starts at her neck. It goes all the way down to her feet. Does this what counted as lingerie back then? How did anybody ever have sex? She was dressed like she was from one of the Amish from Witness or something. Was that sexy back? That can't be. That could be. By the time you got her out of that, I'd be done. I'd be like, well, sorry, honey, it's over. I'm sorry you put on all that outfit. I guess if you want to go on an Arctic expedition, you're all dressed up for it. The Huskies are tied to the sled out back. No, I was just looking at this thing. I'm like, my God, it must have took her about an hour to get ready to go to bed. And my final nitpick for this movie is there was one police detective. I couldn't help but notice, man, this guy, he was wearing his Sunday best in this movie. He had like on his waistcoat, and he had his fedora on. He was showing up for work. However, he had his gun and he was waving that gun around all over the place. At one point, he's like tipping his hat up with it. I'm like, my God, he's going to either kill himself or he's going to kill somebody else on the set. I'm pretty sure Ed Wood didn't have somebody there making sure that gun was unloaded. Oh my God, he was scaring me. Every time I watched that, I was like, oh my God, somebody's going to die. I guess that would have capped off the movie with a perfect bang. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know. See what this movie has done to me, Levi? You see what it's done to me. So to give my final thoughts on Plan 9 from Outer Space. Is this the worst movie ever made? I say no. I say I have seen plenty worse. In fact, I watched the Crow reboot last year, and I would rather watch Plan 9 from Outer Space every day for the next year of my life than watch the Crow reboot again. So no, it's not that bad. It's a bad movie. It is a bad movie. But it's not, it's not so bad that it wants me to pull its hair and spank its ass. It's not quite that level of bad, but yeah, it's a bad movie. But you know what? It has a lot of charm to it. I think some of that comes from Ed Wood, the movie, and just how much fun that is. And I don't know, because I had not seen this before watching Ed Wood. So some of my charm for this movie comes from that, because you got the feel for what Ed Wood was in that movie, that Johnny Depp performance. So I don't know if that's what it was really like, or, obviously there's some Hollywoodism going there. But, it's charming. You can see Ed Wood, like I said, he's swinging for the fences, and he's doing his best with whatever budget he's got. So I can't fault him for the cheap sets and the cheap UFO effects and all that. If he had money and a budget, this might have looked pretty good. I can't speak for the dialogue because, my God, it is awful, but that makes it more fun. I think that really adds, like I said, the beginning and the end of this movie are absolutely priceless. Some of the best comedy I've seen in years because the dialogue is so bad. And these actors are just playing it as straight as possible. That's what makes the ultimate bad movie, is that the people making the movie don't really know that it's a bad movie. So I know what you're asking. Should I watch it? Should I watch it? What should I do? It's such a bad movie. Yes, you should watch it, you coward. Watch the movie. Damn it. It's so bad. It's a great comedy. You'll laugh through most of it. You'll enjoy the cheap sets more than anything and the bad dialogue. It'll make you appreciate good movies, but it's also going to give you an insight into independent filmmaking, or really, God, for Ed Wood to have to do. I mean, you got to think about it. He didn't have what we have now. I mean, we can make a movie on our phone. He had to have cameras and pay for film and pay for development. So he's stretching every dollar. That's why you get looks great, print it. So yes, go watch it, you coward. Enjoy it. Just revel in the badness. I probably would say it would be a good companion piece with Ed Wood. Maybe watch, I don't know which direction. Somebody let me know. Which way would you watch it? Would you watch Ed Wood first and then Plan 9, or Plan 9 and then Ed Wood? Which would be the better combination? But yeah, oh, come on. It's charming. It's fun. And then you can always say you watched Plan 9 from outer space. Oh, so that wraps up my review. If you're still listening, then I must have done something right, and God bless you for being here. So please give me a rating, a review, follow the show, follow me on social media, play the movie quote contest, and torture the poor host of this podcast. So on my next episode, I think I'm going to review Novocaine. That comes out this weekend. It looks like a fun, goofy kind of movie. Kind of along the lines of what I just watched. And I'll probably have that out Sunday or Monday for your listening pleasure. Now, before I go, I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to my show. I tell everyone I know I've got the smartest and sexiest audience in all the podcast YouTube universe, and you never fail to live up to those high standards. Now, as you are traveling around on this blue and green ball, bouncing through the cosmos, avoiding a zombie Bela Lugosi with a vampire cape on, I need you to do one thing for me. Go out there and do that voodoo that you do so well.
All right, show's over. I'm tired.